What is the single easiest and cheapest way to increase your damage in Hypixel Skyblock? Well, first of all, there's lots of different factors that will actually go towards how much damage you deal, such as the item's reforge, and the reforge will then be affected by the rarity of the item. Then you've got things like hot potato books, fuming potato books, the art of war book. Dungeon damage can change based on how many stars you have on the item. And then we can delve into the world of gemstones, the rarity of the gemstone. There's so many things that make a difference. Now, something I've not mentioned yet is something that affects damage on not just Skyblock, but pretty much any version of Minecraft going back to a certain point, and that's enchantments. Now, of course, different items benefit from different enchantments. For instance, for most people who can't afford Chimera, you use Ultimate Wise on a Hyperion because, well, Hyperion you need mana, Ultimate Wise reduces mana costs and so on. The majority of people would opt for Soul Eater on a shortbow. I released a video yesterday where I compared a Valkyrie to other weapons. Because I decided to use One for All on the other weapons but not on the Valkyrie, people were very, very annoyed. But that got me thinking, how much of a difference does One for All actually make? If you don't know what One for All is, it's basically an ultimate enchantment that increases your base damage by 500%. But obviously this is insanely strong, so if you have One for All, this is the only enchantment you can have on the weapon, full stop. Now, understandably, the stereotypical Skyblock player obviously doesn't like change, which has led to people trying to claim that One for All isn't as good as regular enchantments. Now, although this may be true for a very select few weapons, I'm just here to show you today that realistically, One for All is just so good. For the price as well, it's crazy, but let me show you why. Now, before people start to ask, no, this is not just a ploy to make a load of coins off selling One for All books. I don't have any, okay? So, please believe me. I know there's other YouTubers that have done that in the past, and I'm not going to name any names, but anyway. And to be honest, what I find really crazy, I'm going to test out the Livid Dagger, because it makes the most sense. It's a weapon that majority of people can probably afford, and not only that, it gives you sort of an idea of how much this is going to scale. The cheapest recombobulated Livid Dagger is 14 million coins. The cheapest One for All recomb Livid Dagger is about 15.5 mil. This is literally so cheap for what it is. So I've gone ahead and purchased two Livid Daggers. They're around about the same price. The first one has got combo 5, it's gemstoned, fabled, 5-star, recombobulated, you know, just all of the usual stuff. And the other one is pretty much the same, but it's One for All. This does have fuming potato books on it, but to keep it fair, I'm also going to put fuming potato books on this other Livid Dagger. But just before we do compare these two weapons, are you subscribed to the channel? If not, become part of the 21%, it's got to be done. Anyway, to conduct this comparison, we're going to be using a Necron set, not with a Reaper mask, with the Tarantula helmet. We're also going to use a Tiger Pet. And also from experience, it's definitely better to have Withered on a Livid Dagger, so we're going to go ahead and put Withered on both. Now, I am aware that these aren't max enchants, but realistically, if you're buying a Livid Dagger, you're not going to put max enchants on, so this is realistic. This is a pretty standard Livid Dagger away from One for All. Okay, so with our regular Livid Dagger, which has the enchantments and combo 5, our damage is going to be 185k. Let's try again. 189k. That was a back hit, so it is somewhere between 180 and 195k. Now, moving on to our Livid Dagger with One for All, as you can see, our damage is 300k. Try again. Didn't quite see what that was. 338k. Okay, so the damage is substantially more. 299k. Consistently around about 300k damage. Now, of course, the regular Livid Dagger is a little bit more inconsistent, let's say. It is still, regardless of how much damage it's doing, it is still doing 100k less at its best. And when you consider that I literally bought both of these items for virtually the same price, the One for All Livid Dagger was actually cheaper, it's kind of hard to understand why anyone would ever try to argue that One for All is not as good as regular enchantments. Now, of course, we could put something like Soul Eater on the regular Livid Dagger. Although a regular Soul Eater 5 book is going to set us back around about 18 million coins, which is more than the actual weapon costed. Also, without wasting coins, I guarantee for a lot of the mobs that you're going to be killing, the One for All Livid Dagger is still going to do more damage. So if you don't know how Soul Eater works, basically, depending on the health of the last mob that you kill, your damage will scale accordingly. So if you kill a mob that has very high health, the next hit that you do with the Livid Dagger, with the Soul Eater on, is going to be very high. Then again, if you hit a zombie in the hub, and then hit another zombie in the hub, your damage is going to be relatively low. So basically, you will see more benefits from Soul Eater when killing a boss or something that you have to hit multiple times to kill. If you have to hit something multiple times to kill, it probably has a lot of health, therefore you're probably going to deal a lot of damage. On the other hand, it may be if you're just trying to increase your weapon's damage enough to, I don't know, kill a zealot or a zealot bruiser, then I'd probably say you're better off with one for all, because that's going to increase your damage more most of the time, and yeah, it makes more sense. Now, another point that people make for regular enchantments as opposed to one for all is the fact that basically if you put one for all on your weapon, you lose all other enchantments. So other enchantments would include maybe enchantments that heal you, such as Siphon and also Lifesteal. Now, of course, realistically, only psychopaths go for Lifesteal 5, so if we take a look at Lifesteal 4, it heals for 2% of your max health, and that's every time you hit a mob. Now, if you have Lifesteal, you can't use Siphon. If you have Siphon, you can't use Lifesteal, so it's one or the other. Once again, only absolute psychopaths use Siphon 5, so we'll take a look at Siphon 4. And Siphon 4 heals for 0.5% of your max health per 100 crit damage you deal, per hit up to 1000 crit damage. So of course the main stipulation of having a one for all weapon is the fact that you can't use any other enchantments, so you're going to lose basically the healing that your enchantments could potentially get for you. But to be completely honest, the healing is relatively minuscule, and as proven at my current stage of the game, there's around about a 100k damage on a Living Dagger between one for all and regular enchantments. Now, considering this one for all Living Dagger was actually cheaper than the regular Living Dagger, it is a complete and utter no-brainer. I would much rather gain 100k damage than keep a tiny bit of healing, especially when the items are the same price. Now, I'm definitely not discounting the fact that if you were to ultra max out a weapon with, for instance, like Sharpness 7 and all the best enchants, it's going to set you back hundreds of millions of coins, and realistically at that point, it will be better than one for all in the long run. But for newer players and relatively lower tier weapons, I don't understand not using one for all, if I'm being honest. And if you don't have 15 mil for, well, I'd definitely go for the one for all. You can definitely get it for cheaper. You don't have to buy a recombobulated one. As you can see, you can pick one up here for literally 10 mil, and this one's already 5 stars. It's not got a gemstone slot unlocked, but you don't need a gemstone on it. If you don't have the coins for that, even this one for all aspect of the dragons is going to be very good, and it's only around about 3 to 4 mil, and even a 5-star one is 7 mil. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to happen every single time, because it won't, but the facts are is that basically I've paid less for a weapon with an enchantment on that has increased my damage by over 100,000. And to be honest, I think my conclusion is pointless. I think that speaks for itself. It's just a shame we can't put one for all on bows. That would be pretty interesting. Imagine a Terminator or a Juju with one for all. I don't know if that'd actually be good or not. But regardless of what I've said in this video, let me know in the comments. What do you think? One for all or not one for all on relatively low tier weapons? Of course, a little bit of healing is nice if you don't go for one for all, but pretty much everything else makes sense to use it. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.